Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I asked you guys in my last video if you wanted to see it because I've already gone over all of the best books I've read in 2020 so far, and you all did want to see this tag still, so here it is. I'm excited to do it. Let's just get into it. First question, best book you've read so far this year. I'm gonna link my last video down below because I had a whole bunch of books I had to talk about, but I'm gonna try to sum it up to just a couple, one from each little genre. So for fantasy, Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. I've already talked about this so many times. Please read it. If you like Brandon Sanderson, if you like Mistborn, if you like magic systems, if you like fantasy, read this book. For sci-fi, it's Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. Pick up the audiobook if you can. Political, sci-fi, thriller, so good. For thriller, Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Oh my god, I could not put this book down. Go into it blind. It's incredible. It's so messed up. Wow, it's really messed up, but it's so good. And then the last book, the contemporary favorite so far, is Daisy Jones and the Six, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Fictional 70s rock band, told in an interview style format. Pick up the audiobook again if you can. So good. It deserves all the hype that it gets. Okay, now let's get into some of the new questions that I haven't already dedicated entire videos to. So the next question is the best sequel you've read so far, and that has to go to Waking Gods. Is anyone surprised? Are you tired of me talking about this series yet? I'm tired of talking about it. It's great. Read it. Again, audiobook if you can. It's just chef's kiss. Oh, but I also have to mention The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden because it's so good. It's so good, you guys. It's such a good fantasy series. More people need to be talking about this book. Oh my gosh. Next question is a new release that I haven't gotten to yet. And can I say like all of them? This is so hard. There are so many and I can't think of one. One that I can think of is a Hunchback of Notre Dame retelling that I've really wanted to pick up and I just haven't yet, and it's called Night Spinner, and I don't remember the author, but I will put the picture of it here. This sounded really good because it had to do with like a dark fantasy world where this girl is kind of shunned away from society because of these abilities. And that's where it gets its inspiration from, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It sounded really good. And then another one, The House in the Cerulean Sea. Everyone is loving this book. You guys are loving this book. Everyone is talking to me about this book and how much they love it. I need to get to this. This sounds amazing. It sounds like it's just a feel-good fantasy story that's a standalone, and say no more. I mean, the cover's beautiful too, so I definitely need to get to The House in the Cerulean Sea as well. The next question is the most anticipated release for the rest of the year, and Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, everyone's gonna say, by V.E. Schwab, because I love V.E. Schwab. You can see her little shelf right here behind me. But I also want to mention To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, because it is his first sci-fi novel that he's come out with, and I think it's his first book. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's his first book that he's done outside of the Aragon world, and I enjoyed Aragon. I didn't read it as a kid, and I bet if I had, I would have enjoyed it a lot more, but I really appreciated what he did for the age he was when he wrote that story, so I'm really curious to see how much he's grown as a writer now, and to see him step into a different genre and a different world, and I've been loving sci-fi, so I think that this is gonna be really good. I have high hopes. And of course, like Rhythm of War. That one's obvious. The biggest disappointment. Do I even have to like explain myself? This was not for me. I think I've been seeing so many reviews and some people love it, and that's awesome. Some people absolutely love this. So great. And a lot of people are disliking it for a variety of reasons. The main thing for me and why I didn't love it is because I just found it so unbelievably boring. Like, Snow as a character was so boring. I don't know how else to explain it. I just really didn't like this story, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, why this story? Like, why did we decide that it was so important to tell this particular story of Snow? Like, because I feel like there are probably more interesting parts of his life that would be more exciting to follow. Like, maybe his rise to the presidency would have been really interesting, but just this story, why? That's the biggest disappointment. The next question is the biggest surprise that I've read, and so I have two kind of honorable mentions here because neither of these are 5-star books, but I think what surprised me was just how much I enjoyed them considering my expectations going into them. So the first being Artemis by Andy Weir, and he wrote The Martian, which is one of my favorite books of all time. So when I saw that his other book that he had published after The Martian hadn't received as good of reviews, I knew I still wanted to read it, but I just kept putting it off. And I went into this with pretty low expectations because of all the reviews, and I knew it wasn't going to compare to The Martian. So I really tried hard to totally separate this story from The Martian and not compare them. And because of that, I ended up enjoying this so much more than I thought I would have. I loved the main character in this story. I loved this writing style. One of the things I loved from The Martian so much was seeing Mark Watney's problem solving and all of his thoughts and his processes. I loved all of that. And we got the same kind of writing and problem solving and thought processes in Artemis, and I loved it. I loved seeing our main character be so smart and trying to think of ways to get out of these really hard predicaments. It was just so much fun. I just had fun with it. It wasn't a perfect 5-star. It was definitely still a 4-star read for me, but I just enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to, and I'm so happy about it. And then the next surprise is kind of similar, where I went into A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine with pretty low expectations because I knew that this was a space opera and I had never read a space opera. I thought I wasn't going to get it. I thought it was going to be too complex for me. I was really intimidated by this, and then I ended up enjoying it so much more than I thought I would have. I will say the first 50 pages of this book had me so intimidated because it was so dense and just so much world building, and all of the words and character names and everything described in this book is so far from our own reality that you really have to be paying attention. But once you get past that, it starts to kind of click in your head, and it's so much fun. And that world building really immersed me in this story. I loved the plot of this. I loved all of the political intrigue. I found the characters really fun to follow. They had a bit of like wit and humor to them, which I really appreciated. So I overall ended up enjoying this way more than I thought I would. So those are the two biggest surprises I think that I've read so far this year. The next question is favorite new authors, either debut authors or new to you authors. And so I have a couple I want to mention here. The first being Octavia Butler. I just read Wild Seed, so I have not mentioned this in a previous video yet, and I will go more into my thoughts in my wrap-ups. But I will say, I already know that Octavia Butler is an author I'm going to want to read their entire backlist for because her writing style was stunning in this book. I loved her writing. So I'm already a fan, even though this is only my first Octavia Butler book. I'm really looking forward to getting through all the rest of her pretty lengthy catalog. Next author is Grady Hendrix. I read this one this year, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It's the longest title ever. Loved his quirkiness and just how unique this story was. I bought his other book, My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I think is going to be just as much fun, just as crazy, unique. I love this blend of like humor and horror. I think it's so clever. So I already know that Grady Hendrix is also going to be another author that I'm going to want to read everything they write. And then of course I have to mention Brent Weeks because I loved love the Black Prism, and this writing style was so accessible. It was so much fun, and this is a huge book and it just flew by. And then kind of the same thing with Robert Jackson Bennett. I love their writing styles. They're so accessible. It's not hard to like concentrate. You don't have to like concentrate too hard to get through this story. It's just so much fun. And they've got humor kind of fused in throughout the whole narrative. It's so much fun. So I really, really like these two authors and I can't wait to read all the things. The next question is the newest fictional crush, and this is hard for me. I don't really get crushes on book characters, but if I had to go with one, I would say President Snow from The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Just kidding. What? If anyone believed that, come on now. Instead, I'm gonna go with Geralt from The Witcher. I did watch the TV show, but Geralt in the books is such an interesting character. I just really, really like his character and how like serious and intense he is, but then he also has this friendship with Dandelion throughout these books. Dandelion is the complete opposite of Geralt and brings out like this funny side to him, this like sarcastic side to him. I just really like Geralt as a character and where his story is going. I just read The Blood of Elves, so now I'm officially in the Witcher series and I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but Geralt is just so great. So if I had to go with someone, it would be Geralt. New favorite character. I have so many. Oh my god, this is gonna take forever. Okay, kind of getting through these pretty quick. Okay, Glocta from The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie is an amazing character. And listening to the audiobook, Stephen Pacey, I think, is the narrator. His voice for Glocta is just spot on. I love Glocta. Nona from the Book of the Ancestor series. She's awesome. She's badass. I love her so much. Gavin from The Black Prism, such a fascinating character. So interesting, like very morally gray, and I just love him. Clay Cooper from Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. I love Clay. He's just like the ultimate dad. Like, he's just the best. I love Clay's loyalty. His sarcastic narrative that he tells this story from is just so funny. I love Clay. Vasya from The Girl in the Tower and the Winter Night trilogy. Vasya is just the bomb. I love, love Vasya. And Clef from Foundry Side. If you don't know who Clef is, he is a key. Yes, like a key. And he's the best. I probably have more that I could mention, but I'll leave it at that for now. A book that made you cry. Lord have mercy. Those last 200 pages. I didn't even, like, this book, like the first 200 pages, it was not for me. I was like, no, this is not my cup of tea. But then you get past those first 200 pages where it's just world building and info dumps, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And especially like the last 200 pages is crazy. Like, stuff goes down and so many tears. So many tears. A book that made you happy. I'll go with Beach Read here by Emily Henry. I know that this book is circulating throughout the community right now, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really cute, very sweet. It had me smiling from start to finish, and it just made me happy. I love the like slow burn build up to the romance, and characters back and forth banter was so cute, so much fun. I just really enjoyed it. The most beautiful book I've bought this year. I have so many answers for all of these questions. What is wrong with me? Okay, so besides Crescent City, because I think we can all agree that this cover is just everything. It's so beautiful. So besides this one, because I feel like that's just a very, very popular answer, I will go with Shadow of the Fox, the UK edition by Julie Kagawa. This is stunning. It just speaks to my soul. I love it so much. It's so pretty. The color, just, yes. Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger also has a really, really, really pretty cover. It's so nice in person, especially like the colors and then the spine. Yes. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I bought the UK hardcover edition off of Book Depository because it's so beautiful, and I couldn't get the uprooted one because it's out of print. Why do the hardcovers go out of print so quickly? Why? I will buy the hardcover for uprooted. Why? Like, do you think I want the books to not match? Like, I'm not gonna pay like $300 for it, which is what it's going for it out, but I will pay like full price for a hardcover. Why do they go out of print? It just kills me. So I went ahead and got the spinning silver one because I was so afraid that if I waited any longer, it was just gonna be unavailable and it was gonna go for like $300, which is just insane. Why? And then the last one, I love this cover so much. It is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. Look how shiny that is. Look how shiny. That is so pretty. This is a really good deal off of Book Depository. So if you want to pick up this edition, and all of the other covers match in the series and they're all beautiful, if you want to pick up this edition, it's only like $10 on Book Depository. So yay. Next question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? So the books that I need to read are for the Shelf Space Book Club, because those are the ones that I have like commitments for. So right now that includes Malice for this month, and then The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin for August, and then The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter for September. And then I will be hopefully reaching out to some potential booktubers for guest hosts for October, November, and December, and we'll see what books end up getting selected for those months. But I will also need to read books for those months as well for the book club. So other than that, I do have 2 books that are still left on my must-read list. At the beginning of this year, I made a list of 20 books I had to read in the year 2020. I have read 18 of them, and the remaining 2 are The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss and Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. So these are the last 2 books that I need to read. So 4 books in total, but all of these I'm like very, very excited for. So those are books that I have to read. Besides this, I'm not putting pressure on myself to like finish any series or anything like that. And then the last question is your favorite book community member. So for this one, every time you see a guest host featured for Shelf Space Book Club, you can just assume that those are some of my favorite booktubers. But so for this question, I instead want to kind of reword it and just do like booktuber shoutouts for newer booktubers or smaller booktubers that just deserve way more love, way more views. So those that I love and that I'm following that you should as well include Bookish with Mariah. She just started her channel and she's awesome. She has such good recommendations. Definitely go check her out. All of these channels will be linked down below. Also, BookswithV. She is in our Shelf Space Book Club and she is awesome. I love chatting with her about books. She reads such a good variety of books. Definitely check out her channel as well. Christina Campbell books. She reads a lot of the thriller books that I love and that I want to read. So if you're looking for really good thriller recommendations, I mean, she reads other genres, but if you're looking for great thriller recommendations, check out her channel. Diana in the Nook is also another channel that I've recently found and I've been loving. She reads a wide variety of books. All of the books are books that I'm interested in, books that I've read and loved, so I really am liking her channel a lot as well. And then Alex Nieves, I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing your last name correctly, Alex, but he's also a great channel that I've just recently found, and he has awesome fantasy recommendations and reviews, so I really, really am loving his channel. And then the last one is Ben Reads Books. He's also a booktuber that I've recently found, has awesome recommendations. He reads a lot of like sci-fi, fantasy. He also is an author, so he does Writing Wednesdays. So if any of you are aspiring authors or writers, you can also benefit from those as well. Yeah, those are just a couple of channels that I've recently found and have been following and loving. If you found any booktubers that you want to give a shout out to, definitely leave those down below because I'm always looking for new booktubers. And that is the last question in this mid-year book freakout tag. Mid-year freakout book tag. Mid-year book freakout. I think that's, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And until next time,